Hello, welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on April 14, 2022. Today we're going to round up and finish up the little show and tell session what I brought back from my vacation, which we started last week. Now, last week there was quite a bit of preamble with me talking about why I do not want to sell my collection, whether all of it or part of it at this point in time, uh, and some background stuff. We'll try to avoid such a long preamble this week because we can go right into it. We only have four figures left, so it shouldn't take as long as last week. Now, last week we primarily looked at action figures that came in sets of two, the two packs, as we often call them. Now, personally speaking, I don't really like to buy my action figures in packs unless they have a reason to be packed. Like, you know, Fantastic Four, for example. I don't mind if I can get all four of them in one package because they're supposed to be there. They're supposed to be a family. They're supposed to go together. Uh, so when I'm cataloging them, it's good to keep them together. But for example, sometimes we get packs that shouldn't really be together. Like last week, we have Rorschach and Mime, who, yes, they were in the same movie and they had something to do with each other, but they really have very little to do with each other. Uh, so to put them in a pack together, for me, it's just a gimmicky way to try to force me to buy one or the other figure when I didn't want to. So I don't like being forced into buying something that I didn't want to. But quite often when you buy a two pack, three pack, four pack, there are even six packs in action figures. We've seen six packs before with the uh, figures like A Force and Alpha Flight and stuff like that. Although those were actually figures from the same superhero team, so kind of made sense for them to be together. I enjoyed getting things like Alpha Flight in all in one box because then I wouldn't have to hunt down every individual team member separately. But nonetheless, sometimes it does force you to buy a few figures that you wouldn't have bought otherwise. So this week we are going to be looking at individually packed figures, the way I like it, one figure at a time. If I like it, I get it. If I don't like it, I don't get it. And believe me, every one of them this week has been on my to get list. Some for quite a while, some not so long. Even and there's even one of them that was kind of a gratuitous and kind of spirit of the moment that I only learned of her prior to my trip and added her to my list very, very last minute. So let's take a look at these individual offerings. First up, we have this sexy female, I would say ladies first. Thank you, alarm clock. I would say ladies first. So we start with the sexy girl here. Her name is Tigra, and she's the one I was talking about. I didn't know anything about her. I still don't know a lot about her, because, like I said before, this is just a quick run through of the figures I've acquired while I was on my vacation. We're not going to look at them in details, articulation, all that cool stuff. We're just going to do a quick run through, and then later, I promise they'll be back. So Tigra here is from Marvel Comic. From my limited understanding, she used to be a police officer and then she got uh, trained in martial arts by mystic uh, uh, breed of mutant, like cat people, tiger people. And then one day she was wounded in action. She got mortally wounded by some bad guys. And then the only way to save her life was to turn her into one of them. So I don't know how they turned her into one of them. Did they bite her like werewolves, or what did they do? But they turned her into this sexy tiger human hybrid. And here she is, Tigra. Very generic, and from the neck down, really, your busty, supermodel-esque, um, super heroine physique. Although she does have some serious looking claws on her hand. She also has some fur sculpted onto her shoulder, so that's kind of a interesting little detail. She has uh, kind of a wild hair, like this moving as she's moving, and it like she's fighting, and her hair is like all wild. Now she does come with a different head. There's you get two head options. One with like more normal, properly groomed hair when she's standing still, and then you get another head. That's the one you're seeing here with a wild hair sculpt, like she's in the middle of combat. And of course, like any respectable cat ladies, she's got a nice, long, slanky tail, uh, along with a very toned back and leg and bottom. Yeah, I mean, honestly, she's uh, nothing very special when we look at all the sexy cat women, cat ladies we have seen in comic book. You've seen one of them, you've seen all of them. It's just females with some feline trait, usually like claws and ears and tails, and they're ferocious and independent, and sometimes they're very snobbish. So like I said, I don't really know this character, Tigra, but she came under my radar a week before my trip. I was sitting at my desk reading my weekly action figure review from online entertainment, online action figure entertainment.net. That's OAFE.net. Shout out to Yogurt at OAF.net, my good source of action figure news and advice, and the one person in the world who helped me spend the most freaking money in my life. But he's been so helpful. Anytime I am not sure about what a figure look like or how to put a figure together or what is what, he's the one I hit up on email. Just a really good guy. He has been maintaining the OAFE forum and review for wow, like 20 years now. So, you know, he's my go-to for information ever since I became an adult when it comes to action figures. So I was reading Oath weekly review because every Thursday they update with a new batch of reviews, and I saw Tigra. And I mean, this is a Johnny Tiger show, so obviously, if I see something even start with a T and then an I and a G, that already grabbed my attention, and a Tigra. Okay, I have to click on it and read it. And when I saw that this is a Marvel superheroine, which is already something I collect, and it's a tiger lady, well, that pretty much it. I don't need to know anything about her. I don't need to read anything else about her. I knew I have to get her, and I have to get her this year because, hey, this year is the year of the tiger. I'm just feeling it's a little bit sad that she wasn't here when we did the representative for the tiger of the year of the tiger right before my trip. But hey, at least you guys get a look at her now. Of course, since she's from the Marvel Legends line, she's made by Hasbro, which means she is very well articulated and uh, is a very solidly made toy. Uh, we'll definitely look at her in more detail, give you guys some more background information in the future. But for now, here is Tigra. Next up, we have another figure. Again, a figure that I have very little knowledge of. It's from Fortnite, the Fortnite video game. Now, Fortnite by nature is one of those first group shooter video game where you are put into an arena with your character and there's like 1,000 people there and every player try to kill everyone else and try to get all the treasure. That's basically a Fortnite. There's very little storyline. There's very little uh, why and how and reason behind the character design. So ordinarily, ordinarily, Fortnite would be one of those action figure lines that I avoid because I need my action figures to make sense. When I get a figure, it's either I want to know what this character look like if I want to know what Superman look like, if I want to know what Schwarzenegger look like, or the action figure has a really compelling backstory that I like. Like, let's say it's from Conan the Barbarian, which is a book that I read and I know the character, I know the story. So, Fortnite is neither of those things. Fortnite is freestyle, there's no plot, no reason, no rhyme or reason, no story. But despite all that, I have amassed quite a large number of Fortnite action figures. And the reason for that to have happened is because, well, there were two companies making Fortnite action figures. One was Todd McFarlane. You guys already know that name if you've been following my Toy Thursday. And the other one's Jazwares. Now, Jazwares, I don't have a lot of association with, but Todd McFarlane definitely makes some of my favorite action figures on the market today and 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Almost like every decade in my life, if I'm collecting, I end up handing over a lot of money to Todd McFarlane because he makes some gorgeous action figures. Uh, so both McFarlane and Jazwares got Fortnite license to make action figures. Now, starting I believe the middle of 2021, the license have gone over to Hasbro, which is another action figure giant. They are cranking out some gorgeous Fortnite action figure as well. I have not acquired any Fortnite figure by Hasbro. Uh, I'm holding off for now. I'm trying to, um, like I said, due to current financial tightness in my budget, I'm trying to only limit myself to figures that have a reason to be in this house. And so I'm not going to just get a figure because it seems really, really cool. If I'm getting a figure now, it has to be something that I need to complete a shelf or a team or a group, or it just makes sense to have it here. So that's why I have not gotten any of the new Fortnite one. But the figure I'm about to show you is one of the last figures made by Jazwares in the Fortnite line before the license went over to Hasbro. And it's a figure that I first read about him about half a year ago, maybe 8 months ago, again on oafe.net. And ever since I read about him, I knew there's a place for him here in my collection. But it took me this long to track him down because I have not seen any sign of this particular figure here in Canada. So it took me going down to the state to finally track him down. And here he is. His name is Blackheart. Uh, his only bit of biography said he is a captain of the Stormy Sea, and he is from Fortnite. And that's all we know about him. That's all I know about him. There's no story. Doesn't know why he is the way he is. What does he do? Is he good guy, bad guy? Well, I think that's pretty obvious. Um, any of that. But none of that matters when it comes to this figure. I mean, look at him. He is a skeleton pirate. He is Captain Hook. He is Captain Hook skeletonized. I mean, what more would I need to say, whoa, this is a cool action figure that I want on my display. Uh, he is definitely going to stand in with my old mid 90s skeleton warrior action figures. And surprisingly enough, he actually fitting pretty good. He's a skeleton, and he got a cartoonish design, and he's even the right size, exactly the right size to fit in with those guys. So, yeah, like I said, he's a pirate with a hook hand, with one only one good leg, and he's a skeleton. Uh, there's really not much I need to make an action figure cool. And if we look at him from the backside, we see that he got a wheel. This is like one of those wheels that allow you to steer the ship. Those big heavy iron wheels strapped to his back, and there's a bunch of junks strapped to that as well. So this, to me, is an action figure that tells his own story. I can easily imagine that Captain Hook here probably ran into some mutiny situation. His crew probably uh, mutinied against him, or maybe he tried to rob somebody. Maybe he tried to rob the wrong person, and he lost the fight. Or maybe he finally got captured by soldiers and they decided to uh, punish him by strapping the ship's wheel and a whole bunch of junk to his back and throw him into the ocean, and that's how he drowned, and then he came back as a skeleton. I mean, the possibility is limitless when you use your imagination to see, well, why is this pirate a skeleton, and why is he walking around with all that stuff strapped to his back? I mean, that the design itself tells its own story. We have two more action figures to go, and both of them are big uns and goodies. Like seriously, in this case, I really saved the best for last. So let's take a look at the cream of the crop, the best of the best from this treasure hunt, from this batch of action figures I brought back from my vacation. This massive beast almost goes without needing an introduction. I mean, again, this is one of those action figures that you look at it, you know Johnny Tiger is going to want him. This is the werewolf from an American Werewolf in London. It's an old classic horror movie. If you have not seen it, I recommend it. Um, I have seen the movie. I have heard the radio dramatized version, and it's both a horror story and a very tragic tale, almost like a love story. And the story is a simple one. Basically, American guy goes to London and then got attacked by a werewolf, and then spent the rest of his time there trying not to turn into a werewolf. And in the end, he turned into a werewolf, killed some people, and in the end, uh, he got killed. And during that which time he fell in love with a particular sexy nurse who was trying to help him and all that stuff. So it's a very simple movie. Guy turns a werewolf, and then that was that. Um, no, ordinarily, it's not the kind of movie that I would be all that interested in having an action figure of anybody. I mean, you know, but it's just the kind of movie that I watch and I go, oh, that's pretty nice. But I don't feel compelled to know what people look like in movies like that. However, about a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I saw a pre-order going up on Big Bad Toy Store, and it said American Werewolf in London, Kessler. That's the guy's name, Kessler Werewolf. I thought, okay, That Albite, that's pretty cool. Uh, I don't really need an action figure for that movie, but I always can use more werewolf in my collection. You guys have not seen it because I have not shown it on here, but I do have a collection of some really, really cool werewolf. I will get to them maybe around Halloween this year, if I remember. Someone please remind me around Halloween to do some werewolf. But I have some really cool werewolf on display. And this guy definitely will fit in. He's massive. I mean, let me bring Tigra back in the photo, back in the frame, so you guys can get a proper sense of how big this wolf is. Here is Tigra. I mean, she is in a bit of a crouching pose, so she's not standing at her full height. But even then, you can see that this wolf is massive. The wolf is on all four legs, and yet his back almost come up to her head. So even if she was to be standing, uh, this is a massive wolf. Like this wolf is uh, almost like as tall as a full-grown person, or even when he's on all fours. Now, unlike most werewolves, uh, because most werewolves you do have to stand them on their hind leg, and that's how they pose. This one is mostly just for an all four legs. He's more a wolf than a werewolf, and uh, I mean he's a giant wolf, but he's not your typical human body wolf head deal. And this is why I like it because this is something that's going to fit in with any kind of fantasy display, modern display. You don't need him to be the American werewolf because there's nothing on him that identifies him as a particular werewolf. There's no torn clothes, there's no armor. He just looks like a really scary, really big, generic looking wolf. And that's exactly what I wanted him for. I pre ordered him and waited for over a year. And this time, during my trip, I finally was able to pick him up. Other than making a really cool, ferocious wolf on your display, obviously you can make action figure ride it. It's big enough to be a monk. Like I got Tigra, right? You know, his back like this. Uh, you know, is it a little bit goofy? Yeah, sure, but it works. If you want one of your fantasy warrior to be riding on wolf back, like in Lord of the Ring, where the bad guys all rode these giant wolves. Keep in mind, there are wolves being sold uh, on the Big Bad Toy Store for mount purpose, made by a foreign company. I believe it's called uh, 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 12D Toys or something like that. It's like a company I never heard of. But they're making wolves so your action figure can ride them. But these wolves, you have to spend $200 to buy them. Because werewolf from American Werewolf here only cost me 39 bucks. 39 bucks. If you want to buy them, if you want to look him up now, you're going to have to spend maybe 50, 60 bucks. But when I pre-ordered him, he was only 39. So 39 bucks for this giant wolf, great deal, great deal. Uh, I definitely have a lot of places for him on my display where he's going to be fantastic looking. I'm thinking that I'm going to have him in with my other werewolves, but we'll see. Before I show the last action figure of the day, I want to tell you a sad story. When I was 10 years old, living with my stepmother Maria and my step brother and sister, uh, those of you that have seen my short documentary already know that I went through some tough time with my stepmother. a lot of abuse, a lot of starvation, stuff like that. Um, One of the few things I could take solace in at the time was toys. Sometimes when my mother came to Canada to visit me, she would make sure to take me out and load me up with toys um, and gift things that she thought would keep me happy when she wasn't here. Well, they didn't exactly keep me happy, but they gave me a sense of uh, sanity, holding on to my sanity. They gave me a way to escape from my reality sometimes. At that time, in around 1989, 1990, was when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle got really, really, really big. Like you couldn't escape them. They were on lunchboxes, they were on frozen pizzas, they were all over the toy aisle. There were Ninja Turtles and people that Ninja Turtles had to fight, and the Ninja Turtles friends, and friends of Ninja Turtles friends, and Ninja Turtles vehicles, and the villains' vehicles. Everything was Ninja Turtle in 1990. For the most part, there wasn't a lot of Ninja Turtle action figures that I really, really was attached to. I had a lot of them, but for the most part, I thought a lot of them were really silly because there were a lot of them that just Ninja Turtle in baseball uniform, Ninja Turtle in fireman uniform, Ninja Turtle in policeman uniform. You know, a lot of that stuff, just silly stuff. Didn't I just liked the original Ninja Turtle on the show. I didn't need them to be in space suit or samurai armor or stuff like that. To me, those were silly. But there was one Ninja Turtle action figure, one of uh, the villain actually, that the moment I got him in my hand, I was like, wow, this guy is so bloody cool. I love him. I love this villain. I loved him so much that unfortunately it led to me losing the toy because my stepmother Maria had this thing that she did. She would pay attention to what toy, which shirt, what did I like, which item was my favorite, and then that item would almost without failing meet some kind of accident. So I had this character in my possession for about 3 weeks before I came into my room one day and found him in pieces on the floor. I was very sad. I knew who did it. I knew who broke my action figure. But what could I do? She was my stepmother, and I had no proof. A lot of time when I brought things to my father's attention at the time, my father would say, "How do you know? How do you know she did it? Which eyes saw she did it? You can't see. You're blind. You don't know. You can't accuse people when you didn't see them do it." That's my dad's way of not handling the situation at the time. Um, so I was very sad and threw this action figure into the trash can. And for all the years hence, from 1990 all the way to well this year, I carried this very fond memory of this particular action figure in my heart, and the sadness that it was broken uh, to get to me carry the kind of a bittersweet memory of it in my heart. So when I saw that this action figure was available to be pre-ordered, I saw this going on pre-order like 2 years ago. I waited for a long time for this action figure. Like, and it's one of the those waiting games that I really was eager to get him in my hand. Like I said, I've carried this memory in my heart for all these years. So when I saw that he went on pre-order, I, needless to say, plugged in my credit card and pre-ordered him, and then started waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. It's like waiting to be reunited with an old friend or someone who used to know, someone who had a fond memory with, and finally, here he is. And for those of you who remember Ninja Turtle movies, especially the second one, Secret of the Ooze, you know who this is. This is Super Shredder, one of the most weird mutation that ever happened. I mean, yeah, okay, we get it. The mutagen made him big and bulky and strong. That to be expected. But why did it make his armor change shape? Why did his armor change style when he got mutated? I don't know. Who cares? It's really cool. I remember, like I said, I remember when I was a child getting this guy in my hand, and I was like, whoa, this guy is so freaking cool. Like, he's so much more heftier, bigger, and cooler than all the other Ninja Turtles and their villains combined. I just love this guy. All these years, I carried his memory in my heart, and here he is. He is a lot bigger and better than I remember him to be. This guy stands almost 9 inches tall. He's massive, and every inch of him is lovingly recreated. All the textures and blades and spikes that come out of him, the musculature is fantastic. He's super articulated, and even his cape is real fabric and made up with some really fancy feeling texture, really fancy feeling fabric. This guy is everything I remember him to be and more. Like I mentioned, definitely is going to do a individual episode where I show more of these guys, all the guys I've shown you guys. So I'm not going to go too deep into Super Shredder and background, articulation, all that stuff. But just look at him, the almost 9 inch tall, solid, massive action figure with all those spiky armors and giant muscles. This guy's magnificent. Uh, by the way, Super Shredder here and Werewolf that I showed prior to him, they're both made by Neca. Uh, actually, a lot of the figures I've shown last week were made by Neca as well. Neca is, like, in my opinion, really one of the best on the market today. In many ways, even better than Todd McFarlane, although that's a close toss-up. Uh, NECA figures though are tend to be really expensive. They're like in the $50, $60 range, while other figures like McFarlane, Hasbro, Mattel, they are in the $20 range. So you are paying more, but you are getting some really worthwhile, hefty action figures for your money when you buy things from NECA. Uh, just look at the cape. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this cape, the texture on this cape is really amazing. It's like uh, something that's not just regular cloth. I don't know what they use. It's almost like faux leather on this thing. Now here is like a little postscript of my story with Super Shredder. Last year, last year when in the middle of the pandemic when I was under a lot of financial pressure. Kitten was here with me at the time, so she remembers this. I started to cancel a lot of my pre-ordered action figures just to get some of that money back, so I could have money for other stuff. It's all about priority, right? And one of the figures I had to cancel, and that really made me super, super, super sad to have to do it, was my Super Shredder. Like I said, I pre-ordered him almost 2 years ago. I waited all this time, and then to have to cancel the pre-order because I really needed the money. Wow, that tore me up. Like, I never get that sad before when I had to cancel an action figure order, but this was personal. This was really personal, and I was really sad. And then it took me weeks to put that behind me. Took me weeks to move forward to say, okay, you know what, whatever. It's just a piece from your childhood. You don't need it. It's just an action figure. You don't need to be that sad about it. Move on, move on. Now, some people say, well, exactly how much were you going to get back? You say you have to, like, no, what's the big deal? How much money was it? Well, when I pre-ordered him from the Canadian site, I was charged $70 and $70. Now, to some people, that might not be a big deal, but when you really have that financial crunch, $70 is quite appealing. That's like almost a week of grocery for me. Uh, so yeah, it took me weeks to move forward emotionally from that trauma. To cancel my super shredder for that $70 back. And then when I was in California visiting Kitten this time, and was shipping my pre-orders to her address so I could bring them back, I decided to take a look on the website for Super Shredder. Sort of like, well, yeah, they probably don't have it, and I canceled my pre-order. I'm still kind of sad about it. I'm just going to take a look, just a look. So even if I can't have him, at least I can look at him on the website. Yeah, I know it's really dramatic, but I'm letting you guys know this is how it felt. And then I saw him on the website for $45 US. $45 US. And that's still cheaper than what I would have paid for that pre-order, buying from a Canadian seller. Right? Uh, Now let's see. Alexa, how much is $45 US in Canada?
45 US dollars is about 56 Canadian dollars and 72 cents.
Thank you. Yeah, $56. Let's say 50 cents. So that's like you know $15 cheaper than what I would have paid if I went ahead with that pre-order. So there's almost something uh prophetic about it. There's almost something like a destiny about it that I would look and I would find him at a much cheaper, much more reasonable price. You guys have no idea how happy I was to see him listed at that price on the website, fully available, ready to ship. I added him to my shipment, and here he is. I've gotten a lot of great figures on this trip, but in the end, I would say if all I got out of it was Super Shredder, it would have made the trip worthwhile just on his own, and probably twice over. So it was because of many other reasons. Of course, I enjoyed spending time with Kitten above all else, and we had other great memories from the trip. But uh, as far as action figure hunting goes, it was a definite success. And I'm happy to be able to share this success with you guys, and hope you guys enjoyed this past two episodes of Toy Thursday. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled Toy Thursday next week. I can't remember what it's supposed to be, but I'll figure it out. For now, have a good night, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow on Fitness Friday.